the goal is gold. Never took a class, I just know I know it. I just know I know it. I know I know it. And I gotta be the greatest of all time. Of all time. And I gotta be the greatest of all time. Of all time.
Peace, peace. You know what it is. It's your man SKYZOO Skyzoo live from the borough. And this is the Pay Me No Mind podcast.
This is Ray Flores, ring announcer for River Boxing Champions. You are listening to the Pay Me No Mind podcast with my man, Wood.
Over the Magic Man Malinaji, giving a big shout out to the Pay Me No Mind podcast.
What's up, everybody? This is Swift Jerry Heard, 20-0, 14 knockouts, the new IBF champion of the world. And I'm right here with the Pay Me No Mind show.
Yo, it's your boy John Connor, and you're checking out the Pay Me No Mind podcast. It's Aftermath. It ain't nothing after that. Flint, we in the building. It's Connor, what?
You are listening to Pay Me No Mind with show host Wood.
Hey, what's good, family? Thanks for pressing play on a video, on another Pay Me No Mind video. I'm the man here that keeps it all cooking wood. Looks like I got some audio. Yeah, there we go. We got that. Man. So I just wanted to jump on here and with today's news. The passing of Patrick All Day from this weekend, and man, I'm slipping on my game bad with that. My apologies, but let me get into it. From this past weekend, he participated in the Usyk Witherspoon card that was streamed on DAZN. I'm not sure what actually streamed that night. I heard there were some technical difficulties throughout the night and whatnot, but Patrick Day fought Cleveland, Ohio super welterweight Charles Bad News Conwell, a prospect himself, the current USBA super welterweight champion and 2016 Olympian. And in the 10th round, after a sequence of punches, in a very competitive fight, a very hard fought and respectful battle between two guys, who needed this win for their respective reasons in their careers and whatnot. So I just wanted to give you a little context. I was in the building that night. I don't really want to try to say anything that would offend the family or disparage the legacy and the name and everything that we're hearing about Patrick Day. So I just had a couple of things that, like I said, I'm a different dude, man. I go out to these fights and my whole aim with what I try to contribute to the coverage of boxing is hopefully completely unique and different from a lot of everything else that's out there. And I'm always looking for my little angles. And so what I wanted to do was share a couple of things that I think kind of speaks to what some of the things that are coming out that we're learning about the reputation and the man that like my signal is messing up. learning about the man that that Patrick Day was. I don't know if you've been online. I guess before I get into the two things that I observed, if you check out the Bella Entertainment, if you check out their page, their website, they did put out a statement just expressing their condolences, giving a recap of his life. He earned an associate's degree in food and nutrition from Nassau Community College and went on to earn his bachelor's degree in health and wellness from Kaplan University. Had been boxing all his life there in Freeport, New York. One thing that stood out to me was the fact that, or they had a statement in there that Patrick Day didn't need to box. He came from a good family. He was smart, educated, had good values, and had other avenues available to him to earn a living. He chose to box, knowing the inherent risks that every fighter faces when he or she walks into a boxing ring. Boxing is what Pat loved to do. It's how he inspired people, and it was something that made him feel alive. I just thought that was truly apropos, and it speaks to the young man that I observed for 2 days. I got in town in Chicago on weigh-in, just ahead of the weigh-in, and this slideshow of pictures that I selected, that I put up here, to talk through this real quick. Like I said, I just got a couple of things to speak to on this, and then I'm gonna get on out of here. The one thing right here, him right here on this scale, when I came in and was getting my equipment together and everything, he was the first fighter that came out from inside the lower bowl, inside the arena in the lower bowl, where all of the fighters were seated and probably receiving some kind of instructions and whatnot. And once they were free from that, and maybe 5 or 10 minutes before the weigh-in was getting ready to start, Patrick came out with his team to do like a pre-weight weigh-in, or just to check his weight. And I just made note of this because the previous week I was up in Flint, Michigan, at the Clarissa Shields and Ivana Habazin card, and there was, and the incident that ensued there. There was a lot of there was a lot of talking online about who has the right to be on stage, and that Clarissa Shields' sister shouldn't have been on stage. And I just noticed that again, him and Patrick Day and his team all came out and got on the stage for them to do this pre-weigh-in weight check that they did. And there was no incident, and I just made note of that coming off the previous week, that, for people to weigh in and chime in and say what wasn't allowed, like, this is pretty common. So that was one thing that I noticed, and kind of the lesser important thing. The major thing that I wanted to come on and really talk about and to share, to give you some context, was the fact that, speaking of that team, and I think his trainer's name is Joe Higgins. He's been online communicating to fans and giving updates the last couple of days until the unfortunate news that none of us wanted to hear today, that Patrick had passed away. Getting some troubles with the signal again. Oh, here we're back. So yeah. So, trainer Joe Higgins came out and, I messed up from where I was going. But anyway, let me get to it. These other pictures on here of the fight. Is it not going to happen? Yeah. If I can get back to that part of the slideshow so I can run through what I was talking about. But it takes a team. That's what I was going with. It takes this team to make these fighters, to make things work, to let these guys feel comfortable to go out here and perform. And that's one thing that I notice when I'm out covering fights, man, is the quality of the team and the team chemistry, the team culture. It's more people out there than just that fighter. And so the thing that I wanted to mention was, obviously he's the B-side guy here. Charles Conwell is the favorite. He has his belt, like I said, the USBA title, And what I noticed was down on Media Row was one of the dopest things that I saw all night. A teammate or a friend of Patrick Day's walked over with his belt, which I believe was the WBC Continental Americas title that he won by defeating Eric Walker back in July of 2017. But this young man walked over to the side of the it was a little walkway for the crowd. He wasn't even inside the gate, or inside the barrier where you can stand inside where the ring is. He was outside on the floor with everybody else. My internet is tripping tonight. But this guy walked over and stood there the entire time while Patrick Day's name and his record and his hometown and all of that stuff was being announced. And he stood there with his arms outstretched to the sky, holding up his belt, riding for his man, and letting him know, and letting the crowd know that, he was there to support his teammate, or his brother, his friend, all of those things in one. And I just thought that was emblematic of what we're hearing today about, how good of a young man, how great of a young man Patrick Day was outside of the ring, and how he was beloved and thought of, and the regard that people in Long Island have for the kid. Like I said, man, I just looked over there and I noticed that I should have took a picture of it because I was standing there with my camera, but I just thought that was a true indication of, one, like I said, the quality of the team, the bond of this team, and then it just was indicative of, how much this kid was loved. And it's just sad that this had to happen to him. So I just wanted to jump on him and really share that and kind of contribute to the some of the glowing stories that we're gonna hear this week, and as everybody does their memoriam stuff, and we continue to hear stories about him from other people. I mean, if you go out on Instagram or Twitter right now, it's all kinds of fighters speaking their mind or sharing their memories and their thoughts of the guy, of Patrick Day. And like I said, man, it's unfortunate. My condolences to the family, to the trainer, Joe Higgins, I believe is his name. The family flew in town Sunday night, or Sunday, I guess. Like I said, man, my heart goes out to them. It's crazy. So like I said, man, for those that just kind of fell in the chat room, I'm not going to try to ruin it. Like I said, I just wanted to share that moment with you. If you can picture that, this one guy standing out here with this belt, representing his team and making sure that people were aware of the accomplishments in the ring of Patrick Day, and that he was there to to compete and to try to rekindle what was going on with his career. A win right there in that situation did a ton for him, would have done a ton for him. And, he had an excellent showing of himself in the ring that night until things fell apart for him, till things went completely sideways. And, if I had the 10 bells to do right now, man, I would do that or hold a moment of silence and whatnot. But again, it's just tragic. And it's a sport that I love, and many of us love. He loved, and it's just a shame that here seems to be another situation where there was no real signs where you could have jumped in at any particular second and knew that was the moment to stop it. I mean, in comparison to the Dadashev situation in DC, which I happen to be at as well, these were totally different situations. So anyway, with that said, man, I'm gonna get on off of here. Keep the family in your thoughts, and just go out here and do the right thing. So let me get ready to get on out of here. Like I always say, man, Bite down boxing. Don't let them count you out.
Yeah. It's that one talk. You know? No, you don't. Hey. Didn't have a pot to piss in, now my pot is pissing. From a bare wrist to the carrots, like a plot from Disney. I mean, come on, man, you got to give me credit. I bet if you're listening, I definitely got your interest. This ain't no hobby, no lobby, won't find this flow on Pinterest. I mean, my flow is relentless, like I done overlit it. I mean, my records keep spinning like I done overspent them. My content subject on budget, so I don't overspend.